Welcome to another edition of WRAL Triangle and Two. I'm Mark Bergin. He's Luis Fernandez. Battle of the Blues week is here. College game day is going to be in Chapel Hill. Luis, I cannot wait.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big deal, obviously, anytime you have it. And now that it's, a top 10 matchup, right? What did Duke rise to in the men's poll? I haven't seen
Number 7.
Number 7.
UNC stays at number 3.
Good
the
timing
storylines
with the
right
third
themselves.
there, Mark. That was good.
Yes. And for me, too, the big storyline going into this one is potentially you have ACC Player of the Year matchup between RJ Davis, Kyle Filipowski, and the ACC has struggled, Luis, because we're potentially entering a world where both UNC and Duke are the only two teams to make the NCAA tournament.
So can I stand on the soapbox really quick?
The mic's all yours. The floor is yours, Luis.
I hate that narrative that's currently going on, because you look at like some of the different like rankings and things like that, and you still have a lot of teams in the ACC who are in that general bubble or within the bubble type thing. Watch, like if I go to the rankings, I'm going to go to the net rankings right now because we love the net rankings apparently. Hold on, let me just search ACC.
But hang on, Luis.
No.
The only two teams in the top 25 from the ACC, UNC at 3, Duke now at number 7.
Okay, but it's the AP poll. The AP poll is somewhat important. You look at, here's net right now. Ready? North Carolina, 8. Duke, 19. Clemson, 28. Virginia Tech, 45. Wake Forest, 46. Virginia, 49. Miami, 62. Pitt, 67. How many teams make the NCAA tournament, Mark?
Well, 68 with the play-in games, Luis.
So what I am saying is that the ACC needs better PR, and this is not an original thought. There are a lot of people who have said this already, but the ACC needs better public relations from someone to hype them up more, because I think that the ACC is going to be just fine. I don't think they're going to have the most teams in the NCAA tournament, but this notion that it will only be Duke and North Carolina, I think is ludicrous.
I can't wait to live in this world and tell you you're wrong several weeks later. We'll see about that, though.
I will. Then we will riot. We'll do what we need to do.
I love it. I want to talk some RJ Davis because the outside shooting has been there. The efficiency has been there. To me, though, what I've noticed is when you run him off the three-point line and he beats his man off the dribble, he did it consistently over the weekend against Florida State. It's the floater, the giant killer, that he has perfected. Mm-hmm. And if you decide, okay, he needs to shoot over a bigger man, he can do that with the floater. Or if you want to just send help the helper, he's got that drive and kick just mastered at this point. And that, to me, like, you can point to the shooting, but the floater is just special for a player who's been undersized. But it's the scoring, it's the efficiency. And right now, if the season ended today, I think he'd be your conference player of the year. Filipowski's right there. I was looking this up, though, in advance of today's episode, though, Luis. There's really no correlation between the top team in the ACC and the ACC Player of the Year if you go year by year.
Oh, interesting.
But I think potentially you have that matchup. That narrative is on the table before this Saturday's matchup. RJ Davis, Kyle Filipowski always fills it up for the Blue Devils as well.
He does. He struggled a little bit against Clemson on Saturday, but did end up, having that big and one towards the end of the game. No, I mean, what RJ Davis is doing, I think, is pretty amazing. You mentioned his ability to finish, and it's for a guard his size to finish the way he does is phenomenal, especially when you take into account how good he is from the free throw line, right? So you put all of it together. His I don't have them in front of me, but the numbers of his like open threes right now, like open threes that he takes, it's absurd. Like it's gotten to the point where I watch RJ Davis shoot an open three, and I am shocked if it does not go in.
Yeah,
I mean he is on path to be ACC Player of the Year. He's on path to be All-American. He is on path to get his jersey up in the rafters at UNC, following one of those qualifications, because it's I think it's you have to finish All-American, you have to be Final Four, MOP, or you have to be ACC Player of the Year. So he's right up there, getting ready to be honored. It's been a good year for RJ Davis.
He has played well. Elliot Cadeau also coming off a season high against Florida State. And what I noticed in that game too, Lewis, was like their ability to get by whichever defender was in front of them, and then the problems that creates for an opposing defenses, and just breaking down defenses and getting to really whatever spot you want to on the floor. You mentioned the Tar Heels' ability to defend the three-point line. That's going to be huge. And then from Duke's standpoint, coming into this game, regrouping, I look at it from, okay, Jeremy Roach working his way back from ankle and knee injuries, coming off the bench in the last game, 1 of 8 from the floor. Is that a role that he can play coming off the bench? Because before this past weekend's game, he had consistently been a starter for like 30 plus games for the Blue Devils.
Yeah, I think what John Shire mentioned after the Clemson win was that Jeremy Roach didn't practice at all. And so you're seeing, just because someone is healthy enough to play does not mean that they are healthy 100%, you know? And I think that's what you're still seeing with Jeremy Roach. Adjusting to a new role with those injuries in place, that's always going to take time. I don't know if we can expect Jeremy Roach to be putting up 20 points a game over the next couple of weeks. The hope is he gets to that point again where he's healthy enough to do that. But I mean, it's for me, if I'm Duke, the concerns I'm having are just kind of what these past few games have looked like, right? You have a tight game against Georgia Tech. You lose against Pitt. You beat Louisville. They came back a little bit in the second half, kind of similar to what they did against UNC, but you beat Louisville. And then it takes Clemson throwing up all over themselves for you to beat them in Cameron Indoor. That's a little bit concerning, obviously. And it's how these teams kind of match up, right? Right now, you look at that kind of stretch that I mentioned for Duke, right? Here's the three-point shooting from the opposing teams in that stretch. 11 of 20 against Georgia Tech is what they allowed. 10 of 20 against Pittsburgh is what they allowed. A little bit better recently, like I said, 5 of 17, 7 of 23. But either way, the matchups are not super great for Duke. That's a little bit of a concern there. Facing a UNC team that's very good and has been playing very well, even though that Florida State game was close, and has been playing incredible defensively. Right now, KenPom has UNC as the number 4 adjusted defense in the nation, which is just wild when you think of where they were last year at this time. So, UNC is hot. Duke's floundering a little bit. So the question is, can the Blue Devils turn it around in a hostile environment this weekend?
Yeah, and a lot of those questions get answered with an upset win in Chapel Hill. I mean, It's as simple as that. I mean,
no, seriously, it's true.
Yeah.
I will say one thing, Mark, to watch. We're recording this on Monday, January 29th. Duke plays at Virginia Tech coming up later today. I'm going to be very interested to see how they respond to the Clemson game in that Virginia Tech game. If they play well and have a lot more momentum going into, if Jeremy Roach gets a little bit healthier, Mark Mitchell continues to get a little bit healthier, they'll continue to play well. So that I'm going to be curious to see how all that unfolds. Who
Tar Heels have Georgia Tech on Tuesday night, road game in Atlanta. Go ahead, Lewis.
Who are you kind of player wise? Who are you zoning your sights on ahead of this big game on Saturday?
I mean, Davis and Filipowski are the two ends. I look at it, okay, who's guarding Davis from Duke's standpoint? And then Filipowski, it's like, do you want to put Baycott on him? Do you want to rotate, maybe Ingram? How do you defend each of those matchups? And then again, if Roach is coming off the bench again, not just a key contributor this season, but when Duke's gone on runs in previous seasons, someone who has a lot of experience. So it's like, okay, how do you slow down RJ Davis? Well, that's your matchup potentially. So how they play that chess match and that offense versus defense and prioritizing what's actually important. That, and then, the home court advantage too. It sounds crazy, but with this game being in Chapel Hill, and it's no surprise that game day is going to be there the 12th time. It's been at the Dean Dome for ESPN's College Game Day. So it's like, that's really what I'm looking at. It's like in these big time games, Lewis, and when we talked with Chris Duhon months ago, when you think about the legends that have gone through these programs, it's these kind of games that they step up in.
Oh, yeah.
When we talk with Chris Duhon, it's, he had the game winner against UNC all those years ago on a reverse layup. And it's still something that he talks about to this day with Raymond Felton, who's his buddy, he's going up against.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The two players, we talked a little bit about UNC, so I'll turn to Duke a little bit here.
Sure.
The two players that I am most interested in, I think, for Duke are Jared McCain and Tyrese Proctor. And, they're two starting guards, they're starting backcourt. Sure. But you have a really good backcourt in RJ Davis and Elliot Cadeau, and you have a really good backcourt in Tyrese Proctor and Jared McCain. It's a great matchup from that perspective. And McCain and Proctor are both playing some of their best ball at this point. Tyrese Proctor has been averaging, I believe, right around 20 points a game over the past couple of games. And Jared McCain is, to quote WRAL sports anchor Chris Lee, a bucket. Truly, the way he was able to score at will in the second half against Clemson was huge. So I'm very excited for this guard matchup. I think it's going to be really good against for UNC and Duke.
How much does it pain you to compliment the brotherhood, Lewis?
It doesn't, Mark. Listen, I call it like I see it. On Saturday, I was sitting baseline filming the game, and Tyrese Proctor 3 of 4 from 3 in the first half. He had this move, little shake. The guy kind of stumbled a little bit. He pulls back 3, and I was like, oh my gosh! I turned to, I think it was either Charlie Mickens or Jordan Kramer from ABC 11 and CBS 17. And I turned to them and was like, that's a bad man right there. And I tweeted, I was like, Tyrese Proctor, that's a bad man. And I've had so many of my friends who went to UNC like message me and be like, hey man, what are you doing? And I'm like, I am a capital J. I'm a capital J journalist. I've got to give everyone credit, give everyone props. Okay. That's how I view it. I call it like I see it. I'm supposed to observe and report. And so my eyes told me Tyrese Proctor, that's a bad man.
Lewis, that's fantastic. And for anyone wondering about the game day festivities, WRALSportsFan.com start at 11, hour-long pregame broadcast in terms of which gates you go to, which you can bring into the stadium. It is a free event in advance of the game. Everything's got to be cleared out by 1 o'clock, though. So quick turnaround between the 11 a.m. start time for ESPN's College Game Day and then the 6:30 tip-off at the Dean Dome in Chapel Hill. Lewis, any final thoughts before we move on to our Super Bowl discussion?
Just let's get it. Football time.
All right. Where do you want to start this? We're going to have Chiefs-Niners. Niners are now 1-point favorites heading into the Super Bowl. We can talk some about the conference championship games that we saw on Sunday, Lewis, but take this in any direction you'd like, and I'll go from there.
I think that Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs are inevitable. That's my main takeaway.
What do you mean by inevitable, Lewis? Fill us in.
You could run from it. To quote, was it Thanos? Run from it, hide from it, fear it, whatever. But the Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs come all the same. Like they do what they do. Patrick Mahomes has had a better first 6 seasons than Tom Brady did, especially if he caps off with a 3rd Super Bowl. This is the best defense he's worked with. The offense, we've noted the struggles, right? Sure. But you have some improvement with players like Rashee Rice, Marquez Valdez-Scantling is catching the ball. And then Travis Kelce enters the playoffs and turns back into a Hall of Fame tight end. So I just think that the Chiefs are inevitable, and I think they're going to win it. I think San Francisco has looked great when they needed to look great, but has also looked bad at some times here. And that Chiefs defense is better than the Niners defense. And I think that while the Niners offense is better than the Chiefs offense, you don't bet against Patrick Mahomes.
All right, I'm going to come down in a little bit of a different stance here. And I want to preface what I'm going to say that there's no doubting Mahomes' greatness in terms of being at another tier than all of his peers currently playing the position. So let me preface what I'm going to say about that.
Don't you dare.
We're praising Patrick Mahomes today. In the second half, the Chiefs didn't score. They punted the ball 5 consecutive times and they took a knee on their final possession. Yes, he makes the throw to MVS downfield at the end of the game. Is the Chiefs defense neutralizing Lamar Jackson and making him look like a video game quarterback? That's what won them the ball game. Yes, Travis Kelce, 11 for 11, great efficiency, 116 yards. I personally think he's showing off for his girlfriend. But to me, the storyline with the Chiefs this season has nothing to do with the offense, has some to do with Mahomes and his ability to throw to essentially mannequins as receivers. It's a little bit of a hyperbole. But it's the defense. It is the defense that has gotten the Chiefs to this point, and we're not talking nearly enough about that because we just want to focus on the quarterback and the quarterback.
Hey, no, that's fair because the Ravens, I thought that the 2 best remaining defenses in the NFL playoffs were the Chiefs and the Ravens. I don't think that's a hot take by any means. And so what you had was Mahomes and the offense able to take a lead. They start off fast, and then they are able to manage the game from that perspective. Time of possession, picking up some first downs and playing the field position game. I think it was one of those cases where they were able to play truly complementary football, not to just use a coach term there. They were able to play complementary football. And the defense is, I think back to that Tampa Bay Kansas City Super Bowl, right? And you saw Patrick Mahomes having to run around, jumping sideways, trying to throw the ball downfield, getting sacked like a million times, all that stuff. Patrick Mahomes doesn't have to be Superman for this Chiefs team to find success. And if Patrick Mahomes can just dial it back a little bit, he's like perfection. So there's nothing like, at that point, there's nothing you can do. I think that's fair. I think that is a very fair point, Mark. I think that the Kansas City Chiefs defense is superb.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about this too. The Zay Flowers fumble, he's just trying to make a play. There's
That's
really
tough.
no
He's
lesson
lucky.
learned. There's no lesson learned in terms of like how crucial a score there is for the Ravens. The interception Jackson threw into triple coverage to Isaiah Likely. I have no idea what he was doing on that play.
It was bad. I think he was trying to force it. Didn't see the backside safety moving up, and even then it was double coverage. And I think it's all layered, right? If they don't have that turnover with the fumble, then they don't have to force it as much. It's a tighter game. Jackson doesn't think he has to make like the perfect throw. But I mean, it's the Ravens definitely have a lot of things to figure out. Because they only ran the ball, 6 times in the second half?
Not nearly enough, and you've had home field advantage this year. You had the 1 seed.
Yeah.
We know Mahomes' greatness. Burrow's going to be coming back next year. Josh Allen. Stroud's come along. He's going to be even better. The team around him is going to be better. Justin Herbert's going to have a competent coach in Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
So if you're a Ravens fan after this game, it's like, what more do we have to do? Because this year was supposed to be the year.
It's really tough. If you're a Ravens fan, that's really tough. To only score, 10 points at home in the AFC Championship game, that is...
Jackson went into the fourth quarter of the game, Lewis, with barely 100 yards passing, and this is the league MVP? Come on, man.
I think we've definitely seen Lamar struggle in the playoffs. And the blame is to be spread around there, but some of it is just Lamar's got to play better in the playoffs. I did not love the coaching that I saw in the second half from the Ravens, but at some point Lamar's just kind of got to be better. And the receivers aren't getting open. I think the Ravens are going to be just fine. Lamar Jackson's going to be just fine. But I like it as a sports until you get over that hump, until you get to the mountaintop, it's always going to be something that people look at.
Lamar was holding the ball too long yesterday, too. That's just my opinion. But, here's where I'll transition to the NFC. You'll like how I do this. I can sell you on the upside of the Lions, this being the year before the year, more so than I can say, the Ravens are definitely going to be back in a conference championship game, because the Lions, in my opinion, should have won yesterday.
No, they're up 24.
They should have won yesterday. And here's the thing, too. The people, this was my biggest beef, and maybe this is just an advanced football take, but here's what mine is. People saying in the second half, I have no problem with Dan Campbell going for it twice on fourth down where they don't convert. Where's that same mentality when you're up 14 right before the end of the first half? down inside the 10-yard line, and you decide to kick a field goal, which was the right decision to make it a 17-point lead in a 3-score game. So, the consistency in the logic and the argument is just off there.
You're not gonna get me to agree with you on fourth down decision making stuff. I am pro Dan Campbell and going for it. But
and why didn't he do it at the end of the first half?
Because the time was a situation there where you don't have your full playbook available to you. You only have, if you run the ball, you only can run it if you run it and you don't get in the end zone, you're done. Running it on 3rd and goal was not my favorite. It's, to me, fourth down decision making. It's very, very, very often is fourth down decision making in my mind about the actual decision to go for it or not. My concern comes more with what is executed, what play is called. I think that's where some of the focus has to be more of in these kind of situations. That's playing that way, doing that thing. That's exactly how the Lions got to this point in the NFC Championship game to begin with. I got no problem with it. You gotta, Dan Campbell has said he's going to put his big boy pants on and deal with the criticism. It's part of what happens when you're in that position. If you want to, I think more of the blame has to be placed on, Khalif Raymond dropping a couple of easy first downs. It's tough when you have a deep pass bounce off a receiver's or a defender's face mask, fly up into the air, and then Brendan Ayuk catches it. It's just tough. It sucks if you're the Lions, and it's just tough. It's just tough, man.
The clock management at the end of the game, too, trying to keep all 3 timeouts, but then you run a running play and you call a timeout, and then you're only left with 2.
Yeah, I was at that point.
If you're going to use your timeouts, use them earlier.
Yeah, just take the 20 seconds or 15 seconds, whatever it is at that point, because it doesn't matter. Maybe you get 20 seconds back instead of getting 10 seconds back. It doesn't matter at that point.
The drops by the receiver and then Gibbs fumble too, definitely killer. You credit the 49ers, though, rallying back in when they're performing at the highest level. I like the 49ers to beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. And yes, I know the neutralizer is Patrick Mahomes. Yes. I get it. But the 49ers playing at their best ability compared to the Chiefs playing at their best ability. The Chiefs have been a different beast, a different team in the playoffs. But they're able to win close and kind of muck it up. And to me, this is not the same high flying, high scoring offense we've seen from the Chiefs in the past where they're going to light up the scoreboard. That's not their style of play this year. So a lot of casual fans are going to be like, oh, Mahomes, Kelsey, Pacheco runs hard. They're winning close ball games, turnover battle, winning time of possession, having an excellent defense this year. If you take anything from this discussion, from my standpoint, for any of our listeners and viewers, the Chiefs' defense has been terrific this season, by and large this season, Lewis.
I agree. I think where you can beat the 49ers is with tough defense and running the ball. The 49ers run EPA is in the lower half of the league. The Lions ran all over them in that game. The Chiefs run the ball really well. The thing that's forming in the back of my mind, and I don't think it's ever happened because Patrick Mahomes is the quarterback, but Isaiah Pacheco, Super Bowl MVP.
I don't know if they would give it to him. Do you remember the first Super Bowl that they won? And we were all asking, should Damian Williams have won the Super Bowl MVP? And the answer to that was, if you're asking the question, that's what the answer is.
It's always.
I don't know what kind of value you get there from the prop bet standpoint, but if the Chiefs win the Super Bowl, Pacheco's going to have 100+ yards and at least a touchdown.
That's how
we're in agreement there.
Yeah, that's how I view it.
I think you'd have good value there, but it's going to be hard to go against Mahomes if they go on and win it again.
This is not the Super Bowl I wanted, but it'll be fun. It'll be fun.
A lot of red, and speaking of red, a lot of Taylor Swift as well. Are you prepared for the next 2 weeks, Lewis?
I love it. I 100%.
You like the Swift mania? Okay.
It makes the people who, and maybe I'll make some people upset with this. The people who get upset about Taylor Swift being on camera too much during these games, I hope they hate this Super Bowl. I'm sorry that people are allowed to have a good time.
It's nothing really that Taylor Swift does.
No, it's nothing.
Let me just say this. I'll land here. And I could say this. There are people in this universe that believe that Taylor Swift made Travis Kelce, and it's let's look at before they even met or they're even in a relationship. Travis Kelce, 2-time Super Bowl champion, he's one of only like a handful of athletes that's hosted Saturday Night Live before. So like, I think they both made each other more famous, but there's a segment of the population out there that believes like, oh, Taylor Swift, now everyone knows who Travis Kelce is because of her. That I will shut down immediately.
It's different lanes, man. And Taylor Swift is in a level of stardom and celebrity that Travis Kelce is nowhere near. 100%. 100%. Travis Kelce is more popular because of Taylor Swift. I mean, I don't think that's a hot take at all. But that's all I'm saying is just relax and let people enjoy the game. That's all I'm saying. Just relax and let people have fun.
I think that's a good place to land. We've got a lot of coverage this week. WRALSportsFan.com. Duke playing tonight. UNC tomorrow. Battle of the Blues Saturday. We're almost into February, which is crazy to say. And we're getting closer and closer to the end of the regular season, ACC tournament, March Madness. By March 11th, we'll have online sports betting as well, Lewis. So a lot to discuss and a lot to cover here in the coming weeks with WRAL Sports. Anything else you need to plug before we sign off here?
Nah, man.
All right. For Luis Fernandez, I'm Mark Bergin. Thank you for watching another edition of WRAL Triangle and Two. Hit the subscribe button on YouTube, 5 stars and 5 stars only on Apple and Spotify.